champion gets. He wants to cash it in tonight. He wants to cash it in on that show and become champion. So he's asking for anybody in charge to come down and give it to him. Well, surprise, surprise. Instead of getting someone like Billy Corgan, they get Dixie Carter. And Dixie Carter basically says, look, I agree. Well, first of all, she calls him out for being disrespectful to everybody that's held that the X Division title, manipulating the system, and basically doing whatever the hell they want without any. Basically, she calls him out for not, not being respectful, not basically, just being out for himself and nothing else. Not only out for himself and Maria, and not for the company. He's only there, whatever. He's not being a team player, basically, overall what it is. And he's being disrespectful by saying he's the greatest X Division champion of all time. So she says, you know what? I agree with what you're saying. So she basically manipulates him herself. She says, I agree with everything you're saying, but I think you should defend that title one more time tonight, and I think you should defend it in Ultimate X against the entire X Division roster. And that's what happens. And he's not happy about it because apparently, as we see through the match, Mike Bennett is not experienced in the X Division. Or is not as great as he says he is. He's basically unexperienced when it comes to Ultimate X. He's unexperienced. So basically, we have a decent opener with the Ultimate X match. The ending comes down to him and Eddie Edwards, and Mike Bennett showing that he doesn't obviously having some kind of a fear of heights, because he does try to, shimmy across a little bit, but only gets like a few feet across or a few inches, with the rope before falling. I don't know what it is. Obviously, he might have some kind of fear of heights. Well, he doesn't have a fear if he's on a ladder, but apparently he has some kind of fear of being in a match like that or something. I don't know. Anyway, he tries to bring a ladder in, but he gets kicked down along with the ladder, and Eddie Edwards ends up winning the X Division title back, thus securing him a shot at the World Championship next week at Destination X. Now, apparently, there was an incident between EC3 and Drew Galloway that caused both of them to get suspended, and they both ended up being sent home, supposedly, but you could tell they were both at Universal Studios, just by the backgrounds of where they were supposedly at home. And, they had an interview, and apparently we're going to have an impromptu street fight next week between the two. Then we also have a King of the Mountain title match between Eli Drake and James Storm. Eli gets himself disqualified by faking the fact that he was knocked out and almost counted out, and he basically keeps his King of the Mountain title, which I don't think his reign's going to last much longer, because apparently they're going to build to something to where someone's going to outsmart him. And is it me, or is TNA so desperate to have their own breakout star that they'll basically let Eli Drake turn into their version of Dwayne Johnson, The Rock? Does anybody else see that similarity? Anyway, we also have a 6-person tag between Decay and the Bromans along with Raquel. And but before this happens, we notice the Bromans take a little page out of Big Brother After Dark, which I think Jesse Gott is a part of or something. And they basically show Decay, Rosemary making out with Bram. Now apparently the storyline is Rosemary wants to recruit Bram into Decay because she feels he could be that piece of the puzzle they need to be dominant in TNA. Of course, Decay's not happy with this, and it kind of throws them off a little bit. Now they do have an okay 6-person tag, but in the end the Bromans and Raquel win, and obviously there's dissension in Decay. Then we had a street fight. It was an okay street fight between Marty Bell and Jade. And again, it was an okay street fight. These women definitely showed their experience working with, companies like CZW and WSU and whatnot. And it really showed here a little bit. It wasn't as vicious as you would think, but it was okay. Jade does get the win over Marty Bell, so I guess they're kind of even. They might have a rubber match down the line. I don't know. So they do, so Jade ends up winning the match. Actually, you can tell the crowd's getting behind Jade. It looks like they're trying to build Jade up to be the next Gail Kim. If Gail Kim is going into the Hall of Fame, that's probably meaning she's going to retire very soon, or at least be semi-retired and semi-active or something. Then we get an in-ring segment with Maria, Mike, Billy Corgan, and Dixie Carter. And basically, Maria and Mike are upset at the fact that Mike's no longer the champion. He demands he gets put into the main event anyway next week. They're basically making all these threats saying they'll walk, they'll quit, they'll leave. And Billy's out here saying, look, and Billy comes out and basically says, Billy comes out and he doesn't even say a thing at first because Maria is trying to kiss up to him, suck up to him, because every time, this is the running gag with this, every time Billy comes out and they're there, they try to suck up to him, thinking he'll give them what they want. Well, this leads, Maria to go on a little bit of a tirade telling everybody she could be a better president than Dixie Carter, and it's either her or Dixie, her or Dixie. So basically this brings Dixie out. Dixie says, look, I'm calling your bluff. I know you're just full of hot air right now. I ain't going anywhere. And basically they're getting into basically Maria, she is losing it. She is getting mentally unstable. And Billy, he finally steps in and says, look, I've had enough of this BS. This crap, if you will. He basically does side with Dixie. He says, Dixie has been more than fair with you guys. She's given you opportunities. And basically tonight, Mike, you blew your chance at next week. So, hey, you want to quit? There's the door. I'll even keep it open for you. So, basically, long story short, Mike says, no, we're not going to quit. But you two, basically pointing at Dixie and Billy, have made their bed, and that if they can't be in the main, and that if he can't be in the main event at Destination X, he's going to do something better that's going to be on their heads. He's going to ruin Destination X. In other words, he's going to ruin the show. So it looks like Mike Bennett might be put into the main event for the championship, for the world title, into the main event next week, making it a triple threat, which I would not be surprised if that does happen. Mike Bennett walks out with walks out the winner. I would not be surprised. But with that said, though, that's basically a threat they give to them. Then we get the decision by Eddie Edwards. Eddie Edwards basically says, he's got the decision to make. Does he cash in his championship and vacate the title for a shot at the world title? Does he keep it and not go after the world title? Well, here's what happens. Instead of option C, they do a new option. Option Lashley, I guess you could say. And that's basically, both men agree, okay, we'll have our world title match, but let's make it more interesting. Let's make history. Let's put the X Division title on the line as well. So apparently the X Division Championship and the World Championship are going to be on the line. And if tradition is anything, with the exception of a few times, the winner of Destination X main event, the X Division winner, always walks out with the world title. Most of the time. Will they book Eddie to at least have a championship run for maybe a week or two? Who knows? Because at least I think that way it'll get attention on them, thinking here's a fan favorite, an indie darling getting a shot at the TNA world title. And someone that's part of a very, I guess you could say, iconic indie tag team in the American Wolves. And I think somebody that, if I'm wrong, maybe I'm right, became the world champion of Ring of Honor, or was that Davey Richards? I can't remember. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. So both championships are on the line. So anyway, that's, if I missed anything, I do apologize. But that basically was Impact. And like I said, with the exception of the final Deletion match, which was more like a what the blank did I do? What the blank did I just see? What the blank did we do all just talk about and watch? It was a decent show. Yeah, it had its negatives. Don't get me wrong. One of the negatives is, you know, here's what I noticed. They were constantly talking about or advertising Pop TV's other shows. I mean, TNA. What are you doing? Pop. What are you doing? Pop TV. What are you doing? Tuning into the Turner networks? Is that what you're doing? Because during the street fight, Josh Matthews as the Pope, D'Angelo De Niro, Elijah Burke, if you will. You know, why do people wear street clothes during street fights, jeans and all that? I guess he asked this because he wanted to use it as a segue to lead into advertising for the show Rock the Boat with New Kids on the Block. And then even before that, he's advertising not once but twice during the night for Big Brother Live After Dark. That's live, Big Brother After Dark. And I'm thinking, what, just because Jesse Gardus is a part of it? Anyways, it's just one of those. Anyways, that is one of the biggest negatives there. Two big negatives tonight. One, the final Deletion, the way it was filmed and everything. I agree with the Lex Man. You are not Lucha Underground. Don't try to be. And two, Pop TNA, talk to Pop TV. Dixie Carter, Billy Corgan, talk to people at Pop TV, Viacom, whatever. Tell them you are there, that if you make a deal with them or something. Tell them if you have to promote the product on air, the other shows, the other products on air during your show, during your product, then they should advertise you during some of theirs. That's what they should do. Don't just, Pop TV, if you can hear me, don't turn into the Turner Networks. Anyway, that's just my review of TNA Impact for July 5th. The post 4th of July edition of Impact. Let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. I'm out.